Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that quiet, gnawing ache, the one that shows up in the middle of the night when the world has gone silent? No notifications, no music, no one to perform for. Just you and that faint sense that something's wrong. You scroll your mind the way you scroll your phone, searching for distraction, but there it is again. The feeling that your life is not entirely your own. You tell yourself you're free, that every choice you've made was yours, that you've been steering your life, making your own decisions. But deep down, deeper than you'd like to admit, there's another truth. You are living in a cage. And here's the part that stings. The cage feels safe. It's warm, familiar. It's built from habits that kept you alive. From the approval of people you loved. From the unspoken rules you learned before you could even read. And yes, you built it yourself. The world didn't hand you this prison with an instruction manual. No one said, here's how to become a perfectly tamed version of yourself. Instead, it happened quietly. A look from your father when you cried too loudly. The day your teacher praised you for being easy to work with, instead of speaking your mind. The time your friends laughed at you for being different, and you laughed along, pretending it didn't hurt. Each of those moments. One brick. Another brick. Until one day, you're standing inside walls you didn't even realize were rising around you. Psychologists call this social conditioning. You start out raw, wild, and fully yourself, but piece by piece, you're carved into something that fits the mold. Your family's mold, your culture's mold, your society's mold. And here's the dangerous thing. This isn't just about rules you follow. This is about the beliefs that get welded into your identity. Beliefs like, I must be liked to be safe. I must succeed to be worthy. I must not upset anyone to be loved. They don't live in your mind as words. They live in you as reflexes. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard once wrote, "The crowd is untruth." Not because the crowd is always wrong, but because the crowd has no self. The crowd rewards conformity, not truth. And so the moment you dissolve into the crowd, you begin to vanish. Your face changes shape. Your voice lowers. Your ideas soften. Until one day, you're not even sure what you believe, only what will keep the peace. This is where Machiavelli's shadow falls across our lives. In The Prince, he said that a ruler must appear to have virtues, even if they don't actually possess them. Appear honest, appear generous, appear kind, if it serves your survival. Machiavelli wasn't talking about you or me. But here's the uncomfortable twist. We've internalized his advice without even realizing it. We've learned to appear authentic while keeping the truth locked away. Because the truth might not be accepted. And deep down, we are terrified of being rejected by the tribe. Here's where this gets dangerous. The mask works. You wear it and you get rewarded. Jobs, relationships, approval. Every success you've had while wearing the mask reinforces the belief that the mask is you. And then one day, you look in the mirror and feel a strange, subtle panic. You've been winning, but you've been winning as someone else. Plato told a story about people chained in a cave, forced to watch shadows on a wall. They believed the shadows were reality because they'd never seen the sun. When one prisoner escaped and saw the light, he was overwhelmed. It burned his eyes. But what's more, when he tried to go back and tell the others, they wanted him dead. This is exactly what happens when you try to break free from your own conditioning. Not everyone will be happy for you. Some will see your freedom as a threat to their comfort. And the hardest part? You will resist yourself. The part of you that loves safety will beg you to stay in the dark. That's enough to stop most people. But not you. Not if you're still listening right now. Because if you've made it this far, there's a small, dangerous part of you that wants to see the sun, even if it burns. Let's strip this down to the bones. If you're in a cage, and the door is wide open, why wouldn't you walk out? It's simple. Because you've been trained not to. And not just trained once, trained for years, over and over in 1,000 subtle ways. Psychologists call this learned helplessness. The term comes from experiments in the 1960s by Martin Seligman. Dogs were placed in a cage with an electrified floor. At first, they tried to escape the shocks, but the cage was locked. No matter what they did, they couldn't avoid the pain. Eventually, the scientists opened the cage door. The dogs could have walked out at any moment, but they didn't. They lay down and accepted the shocks. Why? Because their minds had been rewired to believe escape was impossible. Now here's the part that should make your skin crawl. This is exactly how human beings are tamed. It doesn't always happen through pain. Sometimes it happens through disappointment, rejection, or ridicule. You speak up in a meeting and get shot down, so you stay quiet next time. You confess a dream to someone and they laugh, so you keep your dreams to yourself. You take a risk and it fails, so you tell yourself, I'm just not that kind of person. Each of those moments is a shock on the electrified floor. And if it happens enough times, you stop trying to walk out of the cage, even when the door is wide open. And fear is patient. It doesn't scream at you to stay still. It whispers. It tells you it's being realistic. It tells you it's protecting you. Nietzsche once said, the most common form of human stupidity is forgetting what we are trying to accomplish. Fear makes you forget. It wraps you in a blanket of justifications until you can't tell the difference between a safety net and a noose. And here's where it gets even darker. Society likes you afraid. An afraid person is easy to market to, easy to manipulate, easy to control. This is why real freedom is so rare. It's bad for business, bad for politics, bad for every system that relies on your quiet compliance. Bonhoeffer, the German theologian who resisted the Nazis, once said, freedom is not something that anybody can be given. Freedom is something people take. And most people, they never take it. But let's make this real. I don't want to just throw heavy philosophy at you. I want you to see this in your own life. Think about something you've wanted for years. Maybe it's starting a business, leaving a toxic relationship, traveling the world, moving to a new city. Now, ask yourself why you haven't done it. I'm willing to bet the reasons you give sound rational. I need to save more money. I'm not ready yet. The timing isn't right. But if we strip those reasons away, if we dig down to the root, we'll find one word written over everything. Fear. Fear is the oldest tool of control in human history. Plato used it in the Republic as a warning. Fear of chaos will make people accept any form of order, no matter how oppressive. Machiavelli told rulers to make themselves feared if they couldn't be loved, because fear was more reliable. Religions, governments, corporations, all of them have, at one time or another, built their power on fear. And here's the uncomfortable twist. You're doing the same thing to yourself. You're both the ruler and the prisoner. You create fear, then you obey it. There's a strange thing the human mind does when reality and self-image collide. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance. It's the tension you feel when your actions don't match your beliefs, when the truth threatens the story you tell yourself about who you are. And instead of changing the action, most people change the story. If you believe you're brave, but you avoid every risk, you tell yourself you're just being cautious. If you believe you're honest, but you lie to keep the peace, you tell yourself it's being kind. If you believe you're free, but you've spent your life obeying invisible rules, you tell yourself, this is just how life works. This is the mind protecting itself from pain. Because if you admitted the truth, if you look directly at the gap between who you think you are and how you actually live, you'd have to change. And change is terrifying. Carl Jung had another name for this buried truth, the shadow. The shadow is everything you've denied about yourself. The parts you've hidden because you were told they were wrong, shameful, or too much. Your anger, your selfishness, your sexuality, your ambition, even your deepest desires for freedom. You didn't destroy these parts, you buried them. But here's the thing, buried things don't die. They wait, and they leak out in ways you can't control. Through sudden outbursts, self-sabotage, quiet resentment. Through the way you envy people who live unapologetically, even as you tell yourself they're reckless or selfish. If you never face your shadow, you can never be free, because you'll always be chained to the parts of yourself you're too afraid to claim. Freedom isn't just about escaping external control. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that you exiled to survive. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Freedom is not a single leap. It's a series of small betrayals, betrayals of the identity you've been told to protect. You will betray the expectations of your family. You will betray the version of you that lived to be liked. You will betray the comfort of being invisible. And with each betrayal, you will feel guilt. That guilt is proof that you're walking toward yourself. One day, maybe sooner than you think, you will be alone. The noise will fade. Your work, your relationships, your possessions, they will all become background static. And you will be left with one question. Did I live my life, or did I perform it? If you lived it, you'll feel a deep, quiet peace. If you performed it, you'll feel an emptiness that no last-minute achievement can fill. Plato's cave was never about prisoners in the dark. It was about us. Machiavelli's advice to rulers was never just about kings. It was about the masks we all wear. Nietzsche's call to become who you are was never philosophy. It was a dare. And that dare is still here, right now, waiting for you. The cage has always been open. It's just that stepping out feels like death. But here's the secret. It's not death. It's birth. So walk out. Burn the mask. And meet the person you've been avoiding your entire life. Because the only thing more frightening than living as yourself is dying before you ever do.